Village of Dolton. We are here with Commander Riley and Chief Collins. How are you guys today?
Doing wonderful.
Wonderful. So we're talking about some exciting things that are going on in Dolton, starting with the Project Connect Community Policing Kickoff virtual meeting that's going to take place on February 15th via Zoom. And I hear you guys are going to be talking about some exciting things that are going on in Dolton, right?
Right.
Yes.
I love it. So tell us about what is Project Connect Community?
So Project Connect is a term I coined when I first got here in 2015. There was no community policing program. So instead of just a generic community policing program, I wanted something that was dynamic and robust. So Project Connect is the connection between the Village of Dolton, the police department, and the people. What was missing was a bridge. And that bridge is how we get to the people and how the people can get to us. So we want to connect people, not just with meetings. We want to give them information. We want to give them training. We want to make sure that the police department is transparent so that the village knows who their police officers are and what the expectations are. So we want to make sure that Project Connect means exactly what the term means. We connect everyone.
I love it. And I see that you guys actually been doing some of this community action. So Commander Riley, can you tell us a little bit about that? Like last year, I believe you did something like a national night out, you guys?
Yes. Dolton hadn't had a national night out in about 3 years, Chief.
Mm-hmm.
It was 3 years, and so he came to me and said, look, we want to start up the national night out. I want it to be fabulous, get the community involved and, just make it good. And so what I was able to do, I met with some vendors who donated an ice cream truck, because if you have to pay for that, that would have been $500, but they donated it free. The kids ate ice cream until they couldn't eat any more ice cream. We had a jumpy house where the kids could play and jump around. We had food. I had a live band. And so the main objective was just to get the community to come out and connect with the police again, to let them know that we're trying to do great things in Dolton. And Mayor Henry was very instrumental in supporting myself and Chief Collins, and I'm just so appreciative.
I love it. So, tell us why these type of events and this type of program is so important. So, for example, the misconceptions that go on between, and this is just not a Dolton thing, this is nationwide, between the police department and the residents in each community. This is going on nationwide. Let's touch on that. Let's say, what are you guys doing currently to bridge that gap?
Okay, I'll take that one.
Thank you.
One of the misconceptions is that when people see us, this is the first thing they see. They see the uniform. They don't know us personally. And when people have preconceived notions about the police department, every officer is the same. So when something bad happens, it's an indictment across the entire law enforcement community. We're all bad, which is not the case. We have some fine people who come here and they put everything that they have into this job. Everything they have, day in and day out. I don't think there's any greater thing than someone that's willing to give their life for the protection of others. And that's what we do on a daily basis. So the misconception is that we're not people. We're robots. We're just soldiers. No, we're people who care about this community. And you may see us differently, but that's not how we feel. So we try to make sure that we get those feelings out by having these type of meetings, community policing meetings, commune, let's come together and talk about it. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the problems in the neighborhoods. It could be about what's going on between someone and another officer. Why do officers show up on traffic stops 2 or 3 deep? Things like that. There's reasons of how we operate and why we operate a certain way. And we want to get those things across to the public.
So also, Commander Riley, so what inspired you to come into the police force?
Well, I wasn't always the police. My degree is in psychology. I was a clinical therapist in the mental health field. And just one day they were offering the test and I did it as just a spoof. I said, let me just take the test. And then suddenly I realized I had passed the test. I went through the process and then I became the police. What I did discover is, the police is no different from a clinical therapist. We have to give therapy every day. So what I try to do is I try to put on my non-judgmental hat. Because when I meet people in the community, or if the chief send me out to investigate something, I don't want to be viewed as the police. I want to be viewed as I'm a person here that's trying to listen to your problem and come up with a good solution. And I don't want to be judgmental when I do that. And so I think my background has helped me to really alleviate a whole lot of discomfort when it comes to just really dealing with people in general.
Definitely. Now, also, I guess people, the general public in general, they call you when they need some help. They come down on you when things don't go their way. How do you guys deal with all of that mentally? Speaking of her industry background.
You want to go first? Okay.
Well, you know what? Normally, the chief has an open door policy. I've worked with some wonderful chiefs, but I think that Chief Collins supersedes what wonderful is. When we come in his office, he has this cool, collective type of vibe. You know, but when you leave out the door, you realize, you know what? I was able to really just let the chief know this is what I'm going through because we're human. And so he allows us all to be able to vent, to come up with workable solutions. If it's something that we're not familiar with or uncomfortable with, he may even do a little role play just to see where your mind is and if you're able to really handle that situation in an appropriate manner. So, yeah.
So when in doing this job, you really have to develop thick skin because you will be called out of your name many times. Sometimes we have to look at our name tag just to remember who we are. And then we have people who truly support us. I mean, just pillars of the community that just truly support us in what we're trying to do. And we tap into that energy so that we can stay positive and not always concentrate or focus on the negative energy that's thrown at us so that we can get better and do better. There's one thing that when I talk to the supervisors here is, and I use a baseball analogy. What's a good batting average? 300. So basically 3 out of 10 times when you get a hit or get on base, that's a good batting average, 300. We don't have the luxury of having a batting average of 300. We have to get it right each and every time. Our batting average has to be 1,000. And when it falls below that, then we have to take a look at ourselves, step back and see what is it that we can do better? What is it that we can do better for this community? Because we have to. We owe it to the people of this community to get better and be better.
And enough with all the deep stuff. We've covered all of that. Let's talk about moving forward, moving Dolton forward. Mm-hmm. So I hear something about a tip line. Let's talk about that.
Right. So now, you know, the tip line allows the community to call up if they have like a tip on something that's going on. Like, for example, the mailboxes were being vandalized. Even I didn't even know that was happening until I had gone out and met with the Postmaster General. And the tip line would allow that person who had some information regarding who was doing it. And so with the tip line being up and running, if they want to talk to me, they can call the tip line, not leave a name, and just leave the information. Then I would meet with probably the deputy chief who's over the patrol division and just get some officers out to start investigating so we could just see what's going on regarding who's vandalizing the mailboxes. So the tip line is very important in resolving crime because we can't do this by ourselves. That's why I said it's like being co-producers.
Right.
We want to be with the community to give us information. We listen to the information and then we begin to act on it.
So I have another question in regards to protocol. So like sometimes, a person, they may see a light out in their driveway. First thing they do is they contact the police department, right? So give us a little insight on how we as residents can better help you guys.
Okay. The quickest and fastest way to get the police to where you are is to call 911. I would never tell anyone, no, you should never call 911. If you need the police, call 911. What a lot of people don't know is that when the person who answered the phone is talking to you and asking you questions, there's another person that's actually dispatching the officer to where you are calling. So people think that, why aren't you just sending the police? Why are you asking me all these questions? Well, first, when you call 911, you have the right to remain anonymous. You don't have to give that information. You can say, I want to remain anonymous, but I want to give you information. But what we do ask is that you give us as much information as you do, as you have, and not immediately get off the phone. So even though they're asking you a lot of questions, there's still another dispatcher that's dispatching the officer that they don't know who's already on their way to the scene. So that's the fastest way.
Wow, I had no idea that was happening. So let's say a person want to become a police officer, 21, young man, and this is what I want to do with my life. What advice would you give them? How do you get started? Let's talk about that.
Okay, I'll do the first one. You can take it. Okay, all right. The first thing that we want people to make their mind up is, are you looking for a job or are you looking for a career? That's the one thing there, because there is some satisfaction in this career. In spite of everything that we hear that's negative in the news, there are some real highlights to this career. The first thing is that they have to have had a nice moral lifestyle. No arrests, convictions, felonies, things like that. You have to have had a clean life. Education is important, but not all police departments require a degree. Some do, some don't. Some just require a high school education or equivalent. If you want to pursue that way, you can take college courses to guide you in that direction. They help you out in the end when it's time to test. So the person that really wants to get into it, they start looking for the agencies that are testing, and they take the test. That's the eligibility test, and see where they place. And they take another test and get on as many lists as you can and decide out of who calls you what direction you want to go. You want to add to that?
Right, and so now we're going to be starting up what we call the Citizen Police Academy. Along with, we're going to partner with the fire department. And so it's going to be maybe an 8-week or 12-week program. And what that does, it allows young people to get acclimated to see just what the police is about and just what the fire department is about. So the first phase will be the police side. And so we're going to have different things that's going to allow them to realize this is what you need to do to prepare yourself. Whether it's prepare yourself for the running test, because people don't know you have to run to even become the police. You got to be in good physical condition, so that allows you to get into conditioning part. Maybe learning about the police reports that we do. So it's just like going to college. We're preparing you to become the police, and you can earn a certain amount of credits that we could take to apply to you becoming the police. So yeah, so I'm very excited about starting that up.
And what about additional training once you are in? I heard some murmurs, I guess, when I came in about you did an amazing training. Can we talk about that? Is that okay? Or
Sure.
Okay.
So we try to do a variety of different training. So, for example, if you're in need to prepare yourself for the written part, because there's a certain way that you want to answer a question when it comes to being the police. You have to know how to take direction. So, for example, one of the questions may be your sergeant asks you to do something, but in your mind you feel like, oh, that's not the correct way to do it. Do you just not do it, or should you follow the directions of what your sergeant is giving you to do? The correct way is, you know what, you've just been given a direct order to do something. Now, if you feel that it's not the right situation or the correct answer, you can always take it to another level and to another level. It's just preparing you to just be able to follow directions and orders.
The training is ongoing. Once you receive academy training, that's not it. Because once you get to your respective agency, wherever that may be, training is constant and ongoing. There's important policies that you have to train on. There's numerous policies that must be trained on annually. And there are certain other areas of training that you have in maybe every 2 years or every 3 years, you have to take this training. So there's never a point where officers are done training. No, there's never a point. It is constant and ongoing and required.
And policing has gone a different direction. No longer, you don't see the police just running and gunning or physically putting their hands on people. We don't do that anymore. Our main goal is to de-escalate things. If I come to a situation or go on a call of a domestic, either I can de-escalate it or I can escalate it. So it's vitally important that I realize it's not what I do, it's how I do it. It's not what I say, it's how I say it. I need to make that person feel comfortable because guess what? I'm in their home. That's your environment. I'm uncomfortable coming in your environment because it's familiar to you. And so I need to respect that, but at the same token, I want you to respect me being there because honestly, I didn't ask to even come on that call, but I want to respect. I want to respect, don't you? You know what I'm saying? I want to respect.
I understand what you're saying. You want to respect their personal space.
Their
I get
personal
it.
space. So, you know, I'm trying to keep you calm. I want to be calm. So yeah.
I love it. So on the 15th, tell residents what they can expect on this Zoom call.
So can you just pass me?
Oh, this live.
Yeah. So I tried to get a diverse panel of people to give certain information to the citizens of Dolton. And so, of course, we're going to have Chief Collins. He's going to talk about the police side of things. Pete McCain, who's the chief of fire, he's going to give the residents safety tips on fire, how to keep yourself safe during the winter, you know, smoke alarms, the importance of smoke detectors, so on and so forth. So he's on that panel. Stacey Carell is the supervisor of Public Works. And, you know, I chose him because, for example, when the street light goes out, sometimes the citizens don't realize that, you know what, there's a direct number that you can call, not the police side or 911. Just call this number and let the supervisor or the employees know that, you know what, my light is out on my block. It's been out for 30 days. Can someone come out immediately and you know, fix it? You know, because that's really disturbing to people to have lights out on the street where there may be a spike in crime. And we want to keep our citizens safe. And Renee Chandler is the director of the comfort zone, and that's something new to Dolton. We get a high volume of calls when it comes to mentally ill.
Mental health issues.
Right. You'd be surprised. People are really dealing with some serious issues, especially with the COVID. A lot of people fell into depression. And they started drinking more, using substance abuse. And so now with the comfort zone, what that does is it allows, and it takes some of the stress off of BUDS, the ambulance service, because everybody doesn't have to go to the hospital. And the comfort zone is set up to give counseling. They provide housing. They provide clinical intervention if that's needed. And so I'm very excited about just having them in the Dolton. They're looking to bring housing for the mentally ill. And so I'm hoping that it really takes off and running. So they'll have a chance to speak to Mr. Charlie directly himself because he's going to have a plethora of information to give the Black community, and it's really needed. Last but not least is Dr. Lee Anderson. She's a professor at Chicago State University. Her background is exceptional. And so her students are also gonna be in on the Zoom meeting because they're interested in asking questions about the police because a lot of them are majoring in criminal justice. So I'm just really over the moon about what's taking place with this Zoom meeting.
And I see that it's going to take place like every last Thursday, beginning in March, right?
Beginning in March.
However, on the 15th of February, folks, from 6 to 7, you need to go on and we're going to stream it on all our platforms. So we have it on Facebook, YouTube, and I don't know about Twitter. We're going to see what we can do. I'm going to try. However, I do want to thank you guys so much for taking the opportunity to speak with me. And I look forward. I'm excited. I'm going to bring my questions and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
We do have one special guest speaker too.
Really?
Yes. A special guest speaker who will be at this particular meeting.
Do I know her? Or do I know him?
Him. His name is Chris Welch, Speaker of the House.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
He will be on with us.
He is doing some amazing stuff. The Speaker of the House will be in the building.
Yes.
Do you guys hear how much these two and the entire Dolton Police Department love Dolton that much that they're going to bring you the resources. They're going to demystify all of the miscommunications in this department, and I am excited about it, and I hope you are too. So make sure you tune in February 15th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.